Hi everyone, Friday the 8th of December, the Celtic Way morning briefing. I am Hamish, we've got Tony and Ryan with me. End of the working week, if you work Monday to Friday. I always get in trouble when I say that because some people do work at the weekends, but you get the point. We're looking forward to another weekend of Celtic. We can talk about the ahead of the game on Sunday. We've got a bit on Harry Kewell, as you can see, and a wee kind of anniversary chat, a Celtic anniversary chat at the end. How are you getting on, Tony?
Very well. Yourself, Hamish, how are you enjoying it? First week under your belt?
It's nice. It's nice. It's good we got a midweek game. I think that kind
Yeah.
of got us into the swing of things, and chatting about it yesterday with Ryan was nice. Ryan, how are you?
Things are good, Hamish. Glad to be back on the channel. Looking forward to this weekend's games, but always looking forward to doing the morning briefing with you guys. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll just get a bit of housekeeping out of the way. This video is brought to you by our sponsors, MPH Group, Scotland's award-winning family-run all-trades specialist. With the cold weather rolling in, MPH has an enticing Navian boiler winter promotion just for you. They offer flexible finance options so you can gear up for the chilling. Consider making a smart move with MPH and Navian, and thanks very much to them for sponsoring this. Someone's already saying hot and sweaty, Hamish. I realised when I came off the video yesterday, like I was genuinely drenched. And I don't know if it's I still get nervous doing live videos because stuff could go wrong, or it was like 35 degrees here today. It was ridiculous, and it wasn't even sunny. It was windy. It was just a strange day. But yeah, I do kind of, and I look like a lobster as well, which probably isn't helping. And it's the lighting and all of this is, so try not to rip me too much for that, guys. Yeah, as I say, I want to get your thoughts from you two, and also from the chat as well, people watching live. If you've got any thoughts or any kind of topics you want us to chat about, let us know. We'll start with the Harry Kewell stuff because Japanese outlet Sponichi reporting that Celtic coach Harry Kewell is the top candidate to be the next manager of Yokohama F. Marinos. Kevin Muscat, who is the current manager there, will depart the club later this month. I think he's got one more game to go. Obviously, Ange Postecoglou managed that club before his move to Celtic as well. Kewell last managed Barnet in 2021, so it's fair to say this would be a little bit of a step up. We were just saying, Ryan, that Marinos seem totally obsessed with Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah, They've definitely taken on the cult of Ange, that is for sure. They seem to love what the big man did for the club, and they've tried to get that same sort of magic from first Kevin Muscat, and now it looks as if it's going to be Harry Kewell. Kevin Muscat did a good job at Yokohama F. Marinos, kind of following in the footsteps. I know they didn't win the title this year. That was Vissel Kobe that won the G1 league, but on the whole, he did a good job, and he was linked with other clubs due to the good job he was doing at Yokohama. So you can see why they're still going down this route. For Harry Kewell in particular, I think this would be not wishing him away or anything like that, but I think it'd be a phenomenal move for him to get away to work in a different climate. I know it's closer to Australia as well for a start, so closer to your neck of the woods. So and probably suit him in more ways than one, but he'll be excited that this job offers, or this potential job offer, has came up, and he'll probably want to go and pursue it, I would imagine.
Yeah, nothing concrete at the moment, Tony, but you would suggest that if they do come in for him, it is probably one that he would be interested in terms of being his own man again, and at a club that have obviously a recent record with two Aussies.
I think it's enticing, isn't it? I think every coach wants to be their own man, and Harry's had a taste of being his own man. Didn't go so well in his spells in England, but maybe he wants to really cut his teeth at a club like Yokohama F. Marinos, and the two guys who have gone before him have shown that you can be successful. So I think it ticks a lot of boxes for Harry Kewell, and you know, the players speak very highly of him. I remember doing a bit with Davis Keillor-Dunn when Harry Kewell was appointed at Celtic, and he told me watch the forward players in particular, because he will do the one-to-one stuff with them. And you know, Daizen Maeda spoke very highly of him, and you know, a lot of the guys, you know, he helped Jota become, you know, the player that we all thought he was. You know, they all spoke very highly of him, so he's got something there. And Harry Kewell as a footballer was exceptional, been there, seen it and done it. So I just think when you're a coach and you have had a taste of management, there's something in you that says, I want to do it again. And it's probably came up at the right time for Harry Kewell. And I would imagine Celtic won't stand in his way. And as Ryan says, if it's a potential job offer just now, isn't it? But we wait to see with instance. But Spinici are usually pretty good with these things, aren't they? Hamish, I think if it's coming from that side, they're usually pretty spot on. So you have to think that, it might be a parting of the ways for Celtic and Harry Kewell. And we wish him all the best and thanks for his services. If that is the case, I would love to keep him because I think he's highly valued. But again, the prospect of being your own man says it all, doesn't it? And I think it's one that it's enticing for that very reason that Yokohama Marinos have had success with the two guys that have gone before him.
Yeah, you mentioned Maida and Jota there, Thomas, even mentioning, someone more recently, Lewis Palmer, who he may well have had a big impact on, because I think we've seen real improvement and variation in Palmer, from the guy that we saw in the initial weeks. It seems like that this is, potentially one that's going to happen, and obviously, this isn't a Harry Kewell channel, so if it does happen, we'll wish him all the best. We are focused on Celtic and what we do after, if he does indeed move on. As I say, that is, not guaranteed at the moment, but it kind of seems like it may be heading that way. So got a few names here, a few names that have been kind of in the media that could come in as a potential replacement. Scott Brown's name is obviously been mentioned. I would have some doubts over that, whether he would want to go back into a coaching role, but I don't know for sure. Stephen McManus, who obviously Harry Kewell replaced effectively, and Kolo Toure as well, someone who's been at Celtic, someone who's worked with Brendan Rodgers, last seen managing Wigan for about 5 minutes, I think. I don't think he did particularly well there, but may want to get back into the coaching stuff. But does it have to be an attacking coach if we're looking to replace Kewell if he does move on, Ryan? I mean, I'm taking back to Ange Postecoglou's comments when Kewell came in. He felt that the squad needed an attacking influence.
It's an interesting one, and you don't want the same thing to happen with Kewell if this potentially happens. It's all ifs, buts and maybes, but Japanese media don't tend to do rumours or gossip. There seems to be smoke whenever Japan are talking about something happening. We've learned that in the past with transfers, with Maeda, with Kyogo to a certain extent as well. I heard about that a couple of hours before it broke. And other players like Hatate as well. So there's no smoke without fire with regard to Japanese media. In terms of attacking coach, it's an interesting one, and you would wonder who Brendan Rodgers could potentially call upon to do that. Just because they played as maybe a defensive player doesn't mean that they're not attacking coaches. Some of the best coaches were defenders or midfielders. You look at Pep Guardiola for an example. He was a midfielder, and he plays some of the most attacking football. I don't know if it matters whether or not those coaches were more attacking in their playing days. But you don't want the same thing to happen that happened under Damien Duff, where there seemed to be a real gap when he left the club. He had a real influence on some of the wide players, some of the attacking players at Celtic. And when he left, and I know Gavin Strachan's did a good job in the years that followed, but that there seemed to be something missing with regard to the wing play when he left. So it's just important Celtic replace Kewell with somebody just as good, if not better, because it's always an opportunity to improve, isn't it?
Yeah, Tony?
I think it's desirable, but not necessarily essential, an attack-minded coach, because I don't think you can say that defence coaches can't work with footballers, so you blow that theory out the water. But I think if you had a preference, you would want somebody that's maybe played the position, because I think that's why Maeda, Jota, Palmer, as you said there, Hamish, these guys got a real lift and benefit from working beside Harry Kewell, because if you've ever watched Harry Kewell during training drills and when he's given the one-to-one sessions before games, he's still got it. And you think to yourself, you know what, you can only learn from somebody like that. So I think it's preferential and it's desirable, but it's certainly not essential if you want to open it out to somebody like Kolo Toure. They've seen some comments there. Sean Maloney's name's been mentioned as well. He was kind of highly rated as a coach, but would Sean Maloney, like Harry Kewell, want to be his own man again somewhere? I would probably say he would. But so it's you, as Ryan says, you just want some contingency plan just now. You want to be scouting about and bringing in the best possible person for the job. In my own opinion, I would say that an attack-minded coach for me is preferential and desirable, but not necessarily essential.
Yeah. Just to recap, if you're just tuning in, Harry Kewell linked with the job, soon to be vacant job at Yokohama F Marinos Bonichi in Japan, saying that he's the I think top candidate for that. So that's what we're chatting about. Nothing being confirmed yet. We should highlight that, but yeah, as I say, I get the impression it may head that way. Yeah, weekend we've got Kelly on Sunday. Now I must say that the last time we went there in the cup, I'd actually just moved here and my kind of jet lag was all over the place, so I actually didn't see that game live. Sounds like I didn't miss much. Is there anything you can take away from that game, Tony, or was it just a Celtic team in real transition and a bad day?
Kilmarnock the first time round, just everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong that day, didn't it? Just there was nothing. You looked at that game and you thought, oh, that was the first bad day at the office, wasn't it? And even down to the penalty that wasn't given, and the more you see it, the more you just get frustrated with Haksabanovic, wasn't it? You just think it's a stone waller for me,
Yeah,
and
it was, yeah.
And you would have had a chance in the last minute, but the way Celtic were playing, they would probably have missed it. And the way they've taken penalties this season, they would probably have missed it. So, but yeah, Odin Thiago Holmes started that day, didn't he? And it just kind of, the game largely passed him by, and the Celtic never created anything. And you it was a real kind of kick in the stomach, wasn't it? Just to start off the season, because I suppose there was a level of expectation that you certainly felt you could go there and win, and you just got a bloody nose, didn't you? And I know the former manager was loath to use words like revenge and stuff like that, but when they're going down there on Sunday, you very much think they want to atone for that and put that game, consign it to history and put it to bed and go down and be a bit more sure of themselves at Rugby Park. But again, you never know, do you? The surface is a great leveller. Celtic have struggled with that kind of surface, but not necessarily at Rugby Park recently, because they've had a couple of thumping ones there as well. But I think everybody was just so disappointed that day, weren't they? That it was just such a lame defence of the League Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's probably the Champions League stuff aside, it's probably the real disappointment this season where, I can't remember the last time, we would have lost a cup game not at Hampden, probably COVID season. We've probably done it, maybe once in 6 or 7 seasons. So it was strange. Yeah, it would have been like, it really doesn't happen often, and it was a real kind of disappointing day. But I think we've kind of moved past that now, but it's obviously just because we're coming back to them this weekend. I think you're right, Tony. It must make... I don't think Celtic will be running around Lennoxtown this week like with revenge on their mind, and I think we're bigger than that, and I think the focus will be different. But it must make his team talk easier for Sunday, and it must mean that the players have that extra bit of fire, because they would all pretty much have if they didn't play that day, would have been there that day, aware of what happened. So they'll know that if they don't turn up, that it could be another sticky afternoon, right?
Yeah, as Tony said, the pitch is a bit of a leveller, but Celtic have had some joy recently. Also, the fact that Celtic play second, Rangers will play Dundee. You would expect that to be a win for Rangers because they're at home, obviously. So there'll be more pressure on that game, you would expect, unless something was to happen in that game. So Celtic will be playing, will not catch up because we'll still be ahead, but to get that 3 points back on the board. So there's always going to be pressure regardless of when Celtic play, but just a wee bit more pressure because they play on the Sunday and they have to, whatever that result is, they need to better that or match that. I don't think Brendan Rodgers will be going around calling for revenge of that. I don't think he's that kind of manager, but he'll just be hoping for a better performance than last time out. I would say that the stipulations have changed ever so slightly. Celtic have got players in now, such as Lewis Palmer. They've got a fit and firing O up front as well. So it has changed quite a bit between the two teams. But both teams will be feeling pretty good about themselves because Kilmarnock get a late win over Aberdeen at Pittodrie, which, regardless of the way that Aberdeen are playing at the moment, that's a great result for Derek McInnes against his former team as well. So they'll have their tails up and they'll be up for it on Sunday. That game in the League Cup, there was the warning signs because they beat Rangers the week previous at home, and they showed their qualities on that day as well. So there was always a bit of worry that if Kilmarnock turned up, then they can make a game of it, and they certainly did that day. But it's up to Celtic to just do their business and keep the good times rolling, basically, with wins.
Yeah, I'm looking at Kelly's last 5 games, all in the league. They've won 2 of them, both 1-0. They've lost 2 of them, both 1-0. And the other one was 0-0. So you really don't get many goals in Kelly games. It obviously tells you they're not particularly prolific up top, but they don't give much away. So I don't know. I just think that it could be quite a sticky one. I think I've said that twice. And yeah, the pitch is an obvious thing, and I try and not mention it because it was pointed out there from Son of Scotland saying we also battered them on that pitch. What was it, 5-0 and 4-1 last season? Yeah. So
yeah,
we're brilliant. It was kind of like 2 of our best performances. I remember that first half in the 4-1 game. And Kelly were terrible, but we were brilliant. In the 5-0 game, we were outstanding as well. So it was kind of 2 of our best performances. So we can do it, Tony. We just need that application right from the start, and a wee early goal would be nice as well.
2 overhead kicks in the 5-0 game, one from Jens, one from
Marcus,
and the 4-1 game there was a spell where Celtic were unplayable. It's probably the best I've seen Celtic play at Rugby Park. As you say, Kelly were poor, but that's what you do to teams that are poor. You don't give them a chance. So yeah, they've shown that they can play. So, I just use the pitch as the leveler, but I'm not one for blaming pitches because it's not changed in years. You know what you're facing when you go down there, so fine. But like you kind of worry that Kilmarnock will make it that kind of game, don't you? And if it's tight, but I still think Celtic got a lot of quality to more than sneak it or squeak it, But I think the other night will, because without too many spoiler alerts, it ain't broke after Wednesday night, so it don't need fixing. So I would be very confident if the manager went with the same team that they could do a number on Kilmarnock and do a job, and I would be erring towards that. Let's put it that way, because I don't think there's many that need to come in with the possibility of Cameron Carter-Vickers. Yeah.
Andrew's asking about that. He's saying who would play alongside Scales. I mean, I guess the fact it's a plastic pitch is kind of weighing heavily on people's minds with Carter-Vickers, but I don't know, I get a wee impression he might play. It seems like it was just precautionary, and it was on Wednesday night, and the game is on Sunday. So I know, I get that it's a plastic pitch, and I know we've got a big derby coming up and other big games at Celtic Park coming up, but like this is a big game, this is a tough game.
Yeah.
And, like, we missed Carter-Vickers badly in August, and I just think if he's like, I know about the pitch, I know people will be saying about the pitch, but I just think if he's ready to go, you start him in that game because he's an important player for us. But maybe you guys will disagree with that. I don't know.
I think he's too important for the rest of the season, to be honest. I know it's an important game on Sunday, but I'd rather miss him out the next couple, especially the Feyenoord game, which is effectively a dead rubber, as we spoke about yesterday. I know there's monetary gains to be won for winning individual Champions League games, but in terms of points totals, it's effectively a dead rubber. The positions in the group have effectively been made now due to match day 5, or due to the other games before it, but match day 5 as well. So if there's a chance to maybe switch it up just a tad and maybe bring Nawrowski back in, I don't know, maybe persevere with Phillips, it could be an opportunity, but I would rather not risk Carter-Vickers because he's that important for the rest of the season, because it's playing devil's advocate. He could play for 20 minutes and then pull up. He felt tightness in his hamstring before half time against Hibs on Wednesday. Completely forgot who we played there for a minute now. He felt the tightness and came off at half time, so I don't want him feeling like that again, or I don't want him fully aggravating that. If he's totally fine to go and it's been cleared, then by all means. But if there's any risk whatsoever, then I wouldn't be taking that, especially on a plastic pitch. You know, Celtic have got so many centre backs, and you'd expect at least one of them to be able to do the business in Carter Vickers' absence.
Hamish, I'm like you. I'm a bit of a continuity man. I think that situation was well handled the other night. He felt tightness. He came off. He'll have that extra day's rest with the game being Sunday. Now, I think that's quite a lot of time to, have your rest and recovery. And if you've not done a lot in training since, and then obviously you have that honest conversation with the manager, any player can get injured in that plastic pitch. So it's not really that much of a concern in that sense for me. It's just the player himself. And I'm like, it ain't broke. So if he's recovered fully, then I would start him as well, because that team showed the other night that when they were on song, they were very hard to beat, and Hibs never really get a sniff, and they only get a sniff when he went off. So I don't see it as a huge risk if that situation has been handled by the medical staff and managed well in the ensuing days till Sunday. So I would always rather play with Cameron Carter-Vickers in the team. I've got to be honest. I just think there's that solidity and there's that kind of blanket of assurance, isn't there, when he's there? You just breathe a lot more easily when Cameron Carter-Vickers is in the back of your defence. So depending on how it's handled, I guess the manager will speak today at the press conference and let us know, but I'd rather see him in the team. And if there's any risk at all or any doubts, then obviously he can't start. But if he's firing all cylinders and it's all above board, then yep, I'm not changing that team. I'm going with the same 11.
Yeah, I mean, it could be Rodgers could come out later and rule him out of the game. I wouldn't be totally surprised, but for me, I think he wanted to continue in midweek as well, Carter-Vickers, and it was kind of the medical team or the management team's decision to take him off. But just in answer to Andrew's point, if it's not Carter-Vickers, probably has to be Phillips, does it not? I mean, like, you're not really going to throw in Narotsky or Lager Bielka or Welsh or Kobayashi after they've not played for a while into that kind of game. It would probably will be Phillips. I'm not sure totally how I feel about that, but we'll see.
For continuity,
the midfield,
Phillips, to be honest, just due to for continuity, I think it has to be Phillips, just due to the way that the starters and the subs
loving continuity today, aren't you?
Yeah,
it's a word of the day.
I'm going to go and look it up after this brief.
What about the midfield then? Because Rob's talking about the midfield continuity. He didn't use that word, but he says, hope he keeps midfield the same. Think we need Iwata's physicality against Kelly. Like, you can't change that midfield, can you? Because they were for me, they were the kind of heart of the team, and they were the real positives in our performance on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, the manager called Matt O'Reilly graceful. He loved what Iwata brought to the table, and I could watch that Callum McGregor pass to for the second goal all day long.
Did he mean it though?
I think he did mean it, yeah.
I think he's looking for the winger.
I've watched it. I know I was doing a stats on yesterday. I think he's aiming for Palmer because Palmer makes that run as well. But it's one of those ones where it's so good a ball, it doesn't really matter who he's going for there.
What would Callum McGregor say if you asked him? Would he be honest, or would he say, nah, I was definitely looking to pick out O?
I think he would say he was looking to pick out O, yeah. Because I just think it's a brilliant pass.
Yeah.
You have to say that, and it's executed brilliantly. Ryan, they put up a video yesterday, that kind of nudge. Brilliant centre. That's just straight, brilliant centre forward play. That we lean in, get yourself settled, and open up your body and and dispatch it with ease. But I think that was well intended by Callum McGregor. So going back to the original question, that midfield for me were excellent. It's the midfield we've been crying out for a wee while, having given the likes of Thiago Holm, Turnbull, and Bernardo their shot, and it turned out to be everything that you hoped for and more, didn't it? Because once Celtic scored the opening goal in that game, I felt really comfortable, Hamish. Don't know about you watching it, but I was like, this is one of those games where it looks as if it's all going to come together. Watched Iwata, and I was just like, yep, you'll do for me. So you just can't change that midfield. It has to be the same.
Yeah, I mean, I said yesterday I thought Celtic were good. I still think there's far more to come. I thought it was a routine result, but it was miles better than what we witnessed at the first half in Perth on Sunday. What was it as well? There was a comment there, I think, about Mikey Johnson. Play Mikey Johnson again. He wasn't great, but he could do with a run of games. Iwata has to play. I agree on the Mikey Johnson point. I want him in there again to see what he's made of and see how he reacts to what Brendan Rodgers said. It's not like we're kind of blessed for options at the moment. So yeah, just generally kind of looking forward to it, and hopefully it's just another 3 points. It's got the potential to be a tough game, but I think if we turn up with that right attitude, we'll be all good. I think you guys are going to do a video after the press conference as well today, so you can chat a bit about that with a bit more knowledge on that front. Just finally on today's video for the next 5 minutes, 4 years ago today, what was the game? Well, it's the famous Celtic game. So that would be the 8th of December 2019.
1-0 at Hampden
Yes.
against Rangers. Yeah.
The day we sealed 10 in a row. 10 cups in a row rather than leagues. We didn't quite manage that, but we did do 10 domestic trophies in a row against Rangers at Hampden. A day that our rivals completely battered us, dominated us, and still went home empty-handed, Tony.
Christopher Julian game we're talking about in Fraser Forster. That game,
yes.
I've never seen a goalkeeper psych out a footballer as much as Foster did the job in Morelos that day. It was unbelievably brilliant. He just put the hex on him, didn't he? It's whatever he did. He just put the voodoo on Morelos, who eventually believed that he wasn't capable of beating the man, even from 12 yards. He ran up to take that penalty with no conviction, and it's the first time I've ever been at a cup final, and I turned to the person next to me and said, he's going to save this. I just had that feeling, and I just felt that it was good, despite the fact that Celtic were ranked rotten on the day and Rangers battered them, as you said, Hamish. I just think everything went for Celtic that day, didn't it, in terms of luck? Even with the man sent off, because Frimpong get sent off, didn't he, as well?
He did,
yeah. And Mikey Johnson missed an absolute sitter, having been given the freedom of Hampden by Edouard, and I'm just could not believe he'd missed. And 10 trophies in a row. It was great. And someone's put in the comments, the best knee slide you will ever see in football, wasn't it?
What one?
Julian scored.
Because it was the Forster one. It wasn't a knee slide. That was like a bum slide at full time, wasn't it? But that was up there as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it was just everything. It's the most nerve-wracking I think everybody's ever been at Hampden for a cup final, wasn't it? It was just, your nerves were shredded.
It was the setting of that game as well. The fact it was a nighttime game against your biggest rivals at Hampden Park, under the lights. It was perfectly set up for the game, and it was attack via defence for a good 50, 60 minutes. I don't think I've ever celebrated so much at full time than I did in that game, to be perfectly honest. That was a big relief. I think I'm still recovering from that game, to be honest, because I was so nervous. I remember the celebrations at full time. There was just an outpouring of emotion, a collective sigh of relief from everybody in the stadium, well, everyone on the green side of the stadium for sure. But wow, Fraser Forster, that is there's a couple of games that you could attribute that sort of performance to, but that was definitely right up there as well, up there with the Barcelona game for sure for Fraser Forster. It was definitely one of the best games of his second spell at the club.
Oh, he just decided that day that nothing was getting past him. Thou shalt not pass, and it was I think it's arguably the best goalkeeping performance that I've ever seen from a Celtic goalkeeper, certainly in a major cup final. I have to say that.
Was it even better than the Barca game? Do you think he was even better than the night we beat Barca?
I do, because I don't remember him making save after save against. But I thought the saves that he made against Barca were pretty routine, and he had a couple of
one really good
saves.
one from Messi, I remember. But I think you're right. Other than that, they were kind of.
I think I would expect them to save. I mean, he might have been busier, because obviously it was Barcelona, and when they were peppering the goal. But I genuinely think that cup final performance is it has to be the best in my lifetime of watching Celtic in cup finals from a goalkeeper, certainly, because I can't remember any better.
Yeah.
Could be wrong in that, or could be
The
challenging
save,
that, but he was
the save from
outstanding.
Ryan Jacks in particular is absolutely tremendous, and he totally kills the strike of the ball. He kills the speed and the pace of the ball as well. It's just a phenomenal save. That when I thought of Fraser Forster there, that's one of the saves I think about in my head when looking back on the player. Just a phenomenal modern day keeper for Celtic. Not good on the ball, but very, very good with his hands, and that's the main thing.
And the thing about that day, you saw Morelos physically crumble. His persona. It was like, this guy's unbeatable. A bit like some of the players felt in the 90s when they came up against Andy Gorham when he was in his pumping ceremony. And they felt that like they couldn't get the ball past them. And, you just watch Morelos' body language that day. He was just a broken man by the end of that cup final. And I just thought, wow, for another footballer to do that, to like a guy whose job it was to put the ball in the back of the net. All good strikers, you just shrug it off, but it really affected Morelos that day, and in turn it affected the Rangers team because they couldn't get the ball in it, and that kind of seeped through to the rest of the players from the second half, or very early on the second half almost. I think a lot of them felt this isn't our day, it's not happening, and the big man just he preyed on that, and he gave the Celtic players confidence, I think, to see it out. Because I think Celtic scored with one of their few attacks.
Yeah, I still watch the highlights. Every maybe 6 months I watch the highlights, and it's incredible how many chances, like clear-cut chances they had. I mean, they had 6 in the first half, and we had 2 the whole game. And Mikey Johnson, missed the other one. I don't know if VAR had been a thing back then. If that Julian goal would have been chalked off, but we don't need to have that debate, do we? We can just rest.
Wasn't available at the time for us.
Exactly.
There's a nice poetic justice. There's a nice poetic justice and irony in that, though, isn't there? You know what I mean? It probably would have been flagged off for offside had VAR been introduced, but hey, it stands, it counts. The record books don't say Celtic scored an offside goal in the cup final. The record book says Celtic won 1-0. So.
He was onside anyway, definitely onside. So that's how we'll round off today. It's been good to chat to you both. Nice to delve into recent Celtic history, a bit of chatting and Harry Kewell. And as I say, you guys are going to do a video later today and probably at least another one before the game on Sunday as well. I'll be back on Monday to look back on hopefully a successful weekend for Celtic. So thanks very much. Thanks all you for tuning in and making the live chat exciting and worth looking at. And I will speak to you on Monday.